years ago, Sam's Club had these big bottles of wine. I think I got this huge. Call them Jerry balls. So I went in and bought like.
I know.
Welcome to the briefing session of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners for next Thursday's meeting. And we'll call on our county manager, who has this whole thing in his memory, to tell us about it.
Okay, I don't know if I do or not, but we'll go ahead and dive into it. And I think under direction from the chairman, we'll try to, the more routine ones, we may push off to next Thursday and sort of take it that way. So the first thing is actually not on the agenda. It was a discussion item, but it's likely to get shifted into, I think it's going to require some action by the board. And Darrell Walker's in the back. If I could get Darrell to come on up. They were moving into closing on the land for the new Brunson Elementary School, and I think they discovered that there is a statute that requires the county commissioners actually to approve the terms, at least the purchase price terms of that, and so it kind of fouled up the closing a bit. So I'll turn it over to Darrell. Let him talk.
Yeah, thank you, Dudley. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is kind of a project that's been going on since, I guess we've been trying to identify a parcel of land since 2010, 2011. Actually, we went back this morning and looked, we've evaluated, we had 31 different location sites for this school. Kind of on our list, we did an evaluation of 12 deep dives, and then we went through a series of meetings with the public at the school, as well as surveyed 4 different times with our staff as well as parents. Each time it kept coming back to the particular location today that we're going to talk about, and that is the old Thomasville Furniture Site location. And so we have worked with the owner. We are prepared, talked with our board. The board approved us to move forward on this particular project. I will go ahead and step out there and say it's a little over 10 acres. You look at it and you're going, well, there's $200 and some $1,000 an acre. That is true. But I looked at the comps around 7 different properties in that area, in the downtown area development, going back to 2017 to the present, and they're all over $500,000 an acre. So it's, it's a little bit of a stretch than what we have in Norman. That's kind of the area we live in, unfortunately. And so we are working on a site plan as we move forward on this project. We're about 2 years behind, quite honestly. We should have opened the school this past August. But we're prepared to try to move forward. I will tell you the comps on the construction side are not to my liking at this point, but I'd like to go ahead and get the land purchased and start preparing for this project at the appropriate time.
$2 million?
Yeah, a little over 2, sorry. It's a big number, I should probably know that. $2,243,626.
Questions, comments? Well, we share your concern, but I think you're on the money. What an expression.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
All right. So we will add that in. You'll get the detail in your budget pack, in your agenda packet next week, and we can, if you got any questions, we'll be prepared to answer those. So if you look at the agenda items, item 1 is the Commissioner's Committee Appointment Summary. The Chairman's going to be working with you on those, so if you've got changes and what have you, just communicate with him around things that you'd like to do or not do around those pretty exhaustive committee appointments. Item 2 is a resolution approving the revised Forsyth County Internal Audit Charter and Audit Committee bylaws. Audit Committee, so Commissioner Martin, Linville and Elamine will be meeting next week. It's going to be a pretty involved meeting, and they are actually going to see some recommended charter changes, a recommended reorganization, and they'll bring that to you next Thursday if that's something they want to do. So I wanted to have it on here because we knew we were going to be involved in that. You got the minutes. The budget finance items, I think all of the grant items we can brief next Thursday. The contract items, I think we can all brief, except for, if it's satisfactory, item 13, Randy Hunsucker's here. He's got a resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of law enforcement service weapons. They're going to trade in some property, and Randy's been real patient and working through today, as have everybody else. So I'm not trying to minimize y'all's work here, but Randy, if you can review that.
Thank you. I'll be quick. This resolution awards a contract for the purchase of 10 shotguns from Lawman's Safety Supply. It also authorizes sale of trade-in property as authorized under the state statutes. The purchase itself would be piggybacked off state contract 680A, ammunition and firearms. For the trade-in portion, the Sheriff's Office has 37 out-of-service and old Remington shotguns. The average age is about a little over 16 years old there. A list is provided in your briefing materials by the serial numbers. We received quotations, 3 of them, one a trade-in allowance under the state contract purchase plus 2 more comps if we sold them straight out. As you can see from the materials, the trade-in credit with Lawman's is more than the other 2 quotations we received. So the resolution before you today awards a contract for the purchase of the 10 new shotguns in the amount of $11,545.90, piggybacked off the state contract, as well as authorizes the trade-in of the 37 old shotguns in the credit amount of $8,325. So the net purchase amount is $3,220.90. And we have sufficient funds in our current budget for this purchase. Any questions?
Just one question, Mr. Chair. Oh. Thinking of the sermon. Just one quick question. When we trade those in, or when you trade them in, who do you trade them in to?
They would go to Lawman's Safety Supply, and they would sell them.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Any other questions for Randy? Randy, thank you. Again, thank you for waiting us out. If I could get Kirby Robinson, items 14 and 15 are both property matters, and get Kirby to come up and do a quick review on those.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chairman and Board. I appreciate the opportunity to bring these items to you today, and I'm going to attempt to put them on the screen and not doing a great job at it. There we go. Am I doing it right? All right. That's great. Well, no, I'm stuck now. Sorry. But I'll go ahead and start talking about them while I get some technical support. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to bring these to you today.
You're good.
Okay. I didn't know it was actually sharing. That's fine. And I don't know how to make it a presentation, but okay. There it is. All right, there we go. So as background on this item, it's related to the old Clemmons Library property. Essentially, the board directed the manager to solicit fair market value offers for the property. You received an offer of $715,000 from Old Clemmons School Library Properties, LLC. You approved that at your November 4th meeting for advertisement and upset bid. That went out, was published in the Journal, advertised on the county's website and to the local Realtors Association for the statutorily required 10-day period. No subsequent bids were received. So again, that's the Old Clemmons Library site. The buyer, ironically, is Old Clemmons School Library Properties, LLC. It's $715,000 as is, so it's not contingent on rezoning or anything like that. The property's tax value is higher than the offer amount, but there are some things that diminish that property's value, which would be parking-related easements and a non-functional mechanical system. So if this item is approved, the property will be conveyed to Old Clemmons School Library Properties, LLC, $715,000, and we anticipate a closing date of January 18th in 2022. Happy to answer any questions the board has. I think I just briefed the wrong one first. I apologize.
That's okay.
All right.
You keep going.
My apologies. All right. As background to this item, you'll recall that the board conveyed the Lansing Drive property in June of this year to Garner Foods. That was for the development of a new manufacturing facility, and as part of that sale, the county leased back a portion of that property for the school system operations. You can see that lease back area to the right of the blue line. The property that was conveyed is outlined in orange. We have 2 years once a certificate of occupancy is issued for the new Garner facility. So that facility, once it's finished construction and we get a CO, that's when our lease term begins. So we've been working with school system staff since that time to identify suitable relocation sites for their maintenance operations. So just in a nutshell, what the maintenance operations consist of at Lansing Drive are maintenance staff offices and shop space. The white fleet maintenance, so that's general fleet cars that the school system has, like a driver's ed vehicle. There's no school bus maintenance there. Grounds maintenance, fueling operations, and heavy equipment storage and parking. So in anticipation of that Lansing Drive sale, the county worked with a third-party contractor to really assess our fleet maintenance and grounds operations as well as the school systems. They were looking for potential efficiencies that could be associated with co-location or combining services. So that study really suggested that a co-location of fleet operations could result in a more cost-effective delivery of those services. So since the sale of Lansing Drive, the board approved an interlocal agreement with the school system that allowed those vehicles to fuel at our property. And we are currently working with their staff to design an expansion of the county's fleet facility. So really taking the recommendation of that plan and putting it into action. So the larger and probably more complex piece of that relocation is related to their maintenance operations. And that really includes sort of office-based staff. So those are folks that actually show up and work in that facility each day, sort of the management folks there, maintenance staff who come there and park and maybe get parts, and also shop space. So the work group, and that really is county folks and school system folks, determined that a suitable replacement property really needed to have both office space and industrial space. It needed to be large enough to host roughly 120 staff members, not all at one time, and then be roughly 30,000 square feet in size based on what they currently have at Lansing Drive. So finding a replacement site that meets that criteria in close proximity to the Linville complex that's available for sale has been a challenge. Really due to the interconnected nature of the school system operations, those folks need to be close to each other. The fleet folks actually work on grounds equipment. See, it's hard to separate fleet and grounds. They work together. So that work group, one of the properties we have looked at is 3810 North Liberty Street. That is the old Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. It's located across from Smith Reynolds, built in 55, 17,500 square feet. So it's on 1.3 acres of land. Its zoning meets our intended use, and it's listed right now for $875,000. Here are some pictures of the interior of the facility. You can see it's kind of a cube environment. It does have some offices, break room, kind of a nice lobby area where the cashiers or folks used to be, and then on the lower level, some more open space. So an analysis of this property, and it is highlighted in blue on your screen here, it is located in close proximity to the Linville complex, which is highlighted here in orange. It's currently set up for office and conference use, and it's surrounded by county-owned property, which is highlighted here in orange, which is actually part of the airport. So due to the site's proximity to other county properties, we really think that if it was usable, other efficiencies could be realized, such as shared parking and storage, because the county's warehouse is here at the Linville complex. While the property would meet the immediate needs of the school system for this relocation, it really could be part of a long-term strategy for the airport because it really would sit sort of on airport property. So an engineer's assessment of the facility does say that it needs several capital repairs or replacements. That's to the roof, the walls, mechanical and electrical systems, and they estimate those repairs to be about $754,000. There are some environmental issues there we just need to take a closer look at. It has a vapor mitigation system, but it was recently occupied, so you would assume that it's sort of safe for our intended use. It is not quite big enough as it stands now. Again, we're thinking about 30,000 square feet. It's 17,500 square feet, and it's only office and sort of conference area, which we really need some additional shop space. So we could add about a 10,000 square foot addition to that facility for shop and maintenance space. At $150 a square foot, We think that addition would cost, $1.8, $1.9 million, and that would be inclusive of construction, design, and contingency fees. Then that's a conceptual estimate. So that would increase the facility size to something that's workable, to 27,500 roughly. The largest unknown, I think, for us right now are any costs related to interior upfits. Does it need to be painted? Does the carpet need to be replaced? Probably. What could we do? A forced labor there? There's some things that we need to look at. That's really up to the school system in a potential due diligence period. So should the board desire to acquire the facility, we have negotiated a purchase price with the owner of $725,000, which is significantly less than the list price right now. It really contemplates, I think, some of the repairs that need to be made to that facility. We would make a $20,000 deposit, which would be applied to the purchase price at closing. We'd have a 60-day due diligence period to study the facility, which we could extend in 2 30-day increments. If we made an extension of due diligence, half of our deposit becomes non-refundable, although it would still be applied to the purchase price at closing. So I'll just quickly note there that while the school system really has been a part of the selection process, we've worked as partners through this the whole way. This transaction opportunity has really come about relatively quickly. So I think a due diligence period would be really important for them to get in there and sign off on that, yes, this will work for us, but conceptually, it looks like it will. The board could back out of the contract with no penalty during the initial 60-day periods. We got 60 days where we can get out of it with no penalty. We would close 30 days after the expiration of due diligence, which is important because we are starting to work against a clock. Pretty soon that Garner facility is going to be constructed and our 2 years will start. As buyer, we have a couple of costs we'll need to pay related to due diligence and then settlement fees at closing. We don't expect our settlement charges to exceed $10,000. And then I just wanted to quickly show you an updated project budget. So we got a lot of moving parts to this thing because we got co-location of fleet operations, which involves an expansion of the Linville complex. You've got the 3810, if the board desired to acquire that property, there's a couple different expenditures there. The board has already set aside $2.1 million in a CPO for this project, and the Board of Education has a piece of surplus property that they would then look to use the proceeds to aid this project's budget. So you have a potential available funds of $2.6 million, you got $2.1 in an account right now. The North Liberty Street project, after the acquisition, the upfit, potential interior charges are unknown, adding 10,000 square feet to it, you're looking at a budget of $3,364,000 based on what we know right now. We've got a pretty good idea of what the expansion of the Linville facility would cost. We're thinking about $500,000. That adds 5 service bays to that facility and puts some lifts in there. So we're running a little bit of an overrun right now, $1,264,000. If the board desired to pursue this route for this project, potential cost overrun could be funded by a future PAYGO allocation or 2/3 bond issuance. Just in a quick summary, the sale of the Lansing property displaced the school's maintenance operations. As part of that deal, we leased back the property that they're on right now. We worked with the school system to find ways to be more cost effective and more efficient with our resources. In that, we're going to look at expanding the Linville facility by 5 service bays. So that's already in progress. So with the 5 components that you have at Lansing right now, we're already working on fleet co-location and we've knocked the fueling piece out. So we're working now with the maintenance piece, which is really what the 3810 project is associated with. So staff does recommend going under contract to purchase 3810 North Liberty Street for $725,000 and allowing the school system a really robust 60-day inspection period to get in there and make sure it works for them, potentially adding 10,000 square feet to that facility for shop space. Hopefully the end result of this project, which has got a lot of moving parts to it, will be the co-location of fleet operations at the Linville complex, the sharing of equipment contracts and fuel resources between the 2 groups, and a renovated maintenance facility that's close to other county resources. We've still got a little bit of work to do around final cost estimates for 3810, as well as equipment storage and parking needs, but we've got some stuff in the works for that right now. So I know that's a lot for this late hour. I apologize, but I'm happy to answer any questions the board has.
So you could have everything you wanted for slightly less than $4 million.
Well, we got a little bit of work to go still, but yes, sir. Yes, we're running a cost overrun of a little over 1.2 million right now.
Questions, comments?
I think it's a good promise for a good plan.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot of
Thanks, Kirby.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kirby. All right, very good. So we've pushed a fair amount of this agenda off to be reviewed next Thursday. The only other items are appointments. You've noticed there are a lot of appointments, and they close next Wednesday?
That's correct.
Yeah, so again, if you know of anybody who would like to serve in any of these capacities, that we need to get some applications in. We'll try to do some work with Todd Luck and try to get it advertised between now and then as well. You got tax refunds. John Burgess has been very patient. He is in the back. I don't know if he has any that he specifically wants to address. I see his head nod no. If you got any questions, he is available.
This is one of the few places you can keep the tax collector waiting and you don't worry about it.
Not mad at you, I hope. That's right. So that is it, Mr. Chairman. I know it's been a long day, and thank you for all the
Any
kind
further
words.
comments or questions?
Yes, Chairman, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
For our next meeting, I don't mean to delay the meeting, but for the next meeting, if we could, I'd like for us to revisit the special appropriations that we moved to supposedly move to the ARPA funding. If we can get back that listing to review, because we made some commitments, and see where we are with that. So thank you.
Any further comments?
Just one comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
This is a whole month of celebration, so I'd like to say Happy Hanukkah to our listening audience, still celebrating the 8 days of enlightenment.
Mr. Kaplan, we've been here for 4 hours and 10 minutes. What's your pleasure?
I've got to go light the candles, so I move we adjourn.
Okay, I'll second the motion. We're adjourned.